For this lesson, we are going to revisit exponents and dealing with negative numbers. So this is a very important lesson because this is a very common mistake that most mathematical students make when they're first starting out or first learning algebra, is the location of the negative makes a huge difference. So if we have an exponential expression that has a negative base, meaning this is negative b to the nth power, that tells me that I'm taking negative b times itself n times. However, if I don't have that negative on the inside of parentheses, then I've got a negative, basically the opposite of b to the n. So b times b times b, n times, and then make it negative. So a lot of people think about taking it times -1. So if you'd like to rewrite this as -1 times b to the n, that's sometimes helpful for people. So let's try a few practice together. For the first, I have -5 squared. So again, that means the -5 is being squared. So essentially, it's -5 times -5. This is not a necessary step. I don't have to write this out. But -5 times -5 is +25, and that's my answer. For the next, -2 to the 4th, remember this is like -1 times 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is 16, so it's -1 times 16, or -16. Again, I don't need to see any of this work in between. I'm writing this so you can kind of see the thought process from beginning to end. For my third example, 1 to the 5th means 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which is, of course, 1. And my last example, I've got a negative on the outside and a negative on the inside, which means I've got a -1 times -3 to the 3rd. So let's start with the -3 to the 3rd. -3 times -3 is +9 times -3 is -27. So I've got a -1 times -27, and now I've got a negative times a negative to make a +27 as my solution. Please don't make the mistake of KFCing or ching-chinging there at the beginning, because we can't do that with exponents. Remember, order of operations says exponents have to come before multiplication or addition or any of that. Try these 4 on your own and then press play to see how you did. I feel like we just did this question. Very similar, except there's no negative on the outside. So this one's going to be -3 times -3 times -3, which is -27. For my second question, this is a negative not in the parentheses. So again, that's like -1 times 4 squared, which is -1 times 16, which is -16. For my third example, 0 to the 4th is just 0, because 0 times itself 4 times, it doesn't matter how many times we multiply it, it's still 0. And there is no such thing as -0, and so my solution is 0. And the last one, -1 times -1, 2 negatives make a positive, so +1 is my result.